Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. We got a very interesting show set up for you. Yep, Harbaugh just got roasted by the Simpsons of all TV shows.
It's got to be America's team.
And we're also going to talk about whether this is the last game for one of these two coaches. Maybe both. You never know. We're going to talk all about that in this show. And this story's kind of going all over the place ever since that show was broadcast, The Simpsons. And this is by Andrew Buchholz on Awful Announcing. It says, The Simpsons roast Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, and USC, and more with some help from Dan Patrick. It says, The Simpsons is going along now 35 years. This show's called Do the Wrong Thing. Covers the stories of Homer and Bart cheating at blue-collar sporting events from fishing to rock skipping. And it's called by Dan Patrick. I'm sure he had fun doing that. And it shows Homer and Bart cheating in everything that they try, whether it's disc golf or cornhole and all kinds of different things. And then it leads them going to the USC football team before the dean of the school, Belichick. And he encourages the cheating. He says USC has a proud history of embracing cheating. And here at USC, we decided to own cheating. He also offers Homer a professorship in our faculty on cheating studies. And he referenced the Houston Astros along the way. And Lisa also tried to get into USC. And, of course, she had put on some fake documents. And they were like, yeah, we love fake documents at USC, no problem. And they actually got Jim Harbaugh at the very end of this thing. And they called it the Jim Harbaugh Center for Competitive Imbalance. And Bart Simpson got a job there. So, yeah, they took shots at everybody that's cheating or has been accused thereof. And Harbaugh being right in the middle of it, which he will say is not fair. That was Connor Stalions.
That's not fair.
Don't raise your voice to me.
Allegedly, with the whole sign stealing thing. But look, Harbaugh's in charge. He's going to take the heat for it. It's the way it is. Look, when the Simpsons feature you, you've hit the big time. Next, it'll be Family Guy. And then you've really hit the big time. So you had to know something like that was going to happen. I told you it's the biggest story in college sports by far. I've not seen one this big in a really, really long time, probably a decade or so. So this is not going to go away anytime soon. And Paul Feinbaum weighed in on whether Jim Harbaugh, the Nick Saban game, is either coach's last. It says the Rose Bowl between Michigan and Alabama. And this is on the Detroit Free Press by Jared Ramsey. It says Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban square off for the second time in the college football playoff. Paul Feinbaum, a longtime college football analyst and talk show guru, whatever you want to call him, talked about the matchup, and he's excited about it. He said the situation around the two coaches has created a matchup with fascinating storylines. I agree with that. To see Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh on the same sideline for the Rose Bowl is pretty exciting. He said this is one of the most intriguing matchups I've ever seen. You just don't know what's on the other side of this game for Nick and Jim, so I'm glad to see it. He went on to explain he believes this could be the final season for Harbaugh as coach at Michigan because of the baggage Harbaugh has accumulated. Multiple NCAA investigations, 3-game suspensions in the last year while comparing him to a dinosaur. Feinbaum said Harbaugh's best decision is estimation, in his estimation, would be to move on from Michigan to the NFL, obviously. Here's where he gets a little bit smack talky. He said, I do believe some of the people at Michigan do have integrity and who believe that he has been accused of is probably not going to be able to get away with it. He said, I also have very little faith, if any, in the NCAA, but these two just seem on a collision course. He also talks about Saban, who is now 72 years old. He's been on the top of college football for years. Questions about his retirement have swirled during the year at Alabama.
Alabama!
He said Feinbaum's retirement is looming unanswered questions right now. He said it's hard to say if he will walk away as Alabama resides as a powerhouse. He said the Crimson Tide has 8 semifinal appearances in 10 seasons. True that. He said this is not a man who's going to be happy tomorrow if he retires. I don't care how big a check he gets from ESPN or Aflac or some corporate board. That's not enough to satisfy him.
Aflac!
Talks about his ability to adapt, and he does have an ability to adapt, that's for sure. He said he learns. He talked about how he got beat by Auburn and then started beating them the same way they beat him, which is that's just luck. But he also talks about he has a long history with Michigan. See, he was the head coach at Michigan State for like 5 years. So there's no love lost between him and Michigan. So he may really be relishing this opportunity to go against Harbaugh, and I think it's going to be a great game. I'm very excited about it. I'm sure a lot of you are too. It could be a heck of a ball game. Most of the country is going to be rooting for Alabama, which is kind of odd. They're sort of the They're kind of like the Empire. Everybody kind of roots against them, but in this case, people are going to be rooting for the Empire. It's like rooting for Darth Vader.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
Feinbaum said, "This is not a normal opponent. I've seen Saban do a few things like that, but during most of his tenure, he would never score at the end of the game just to rub it in. But he said he might because he's had plenty of dirt rubbed in his face when he was at Michigan State by Michigan fans. So, yeah, there could be some bad blood here." Now, it probably shouldn't surprise you that Feinbaum thinks that Alabama will probably win because he's been accused many times of being the SEC water carrier, and he does not like that. It makes him very upset. But it's probably kind of true. I mean, heck, all he does is cover the SEC, so he probably does. And it's real easy to do that because the SEC's been dominant for many years, especially when it comes to national championships. So this is going to be a fascinating game, but I did want to bring this to you. I'm telling you, when the Simpsons make fun of you or put you on their show, you've reached some sort of critical mass when it comes to publicity. So this is kind of maxed out right here. And everybody's eyes are going to be on this game. This might be one of the most watched semifinal games ever. It might be number one. I would not be a bit surprised if it is. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover these big stories. I cover the Volunteers and the SEC quite a bit, but I like to cover these big stories too. If you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit this little button. Cost you nothing. Help you get my videos if you like this type. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll like based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
Merry Christmas! Shitter was full!